Good morning Slazeenies and those who have yet to subscribe. I'm finally back to feed you all after a long time, and today I want to discuss a handful of topics that have been on my mind and try my hand at fashionably late journalism. Without further ado, let's jump right in. On the 2nd of February, a man who I won't name stood outside of FNC Entertainment holding a sign with a very lengthy message essentially stating that 1. Keeho's mother scammed him out of a lot of money, which is an issue that had already surfaced in 2023, 2. That Keeho offered to pay him around $200,000 to keep his name out of the lawsuit since he has nothing to do with it, and 3. Insulting Keeho for not feeling obligated to help clean up his mother's mess since he thinks that as the most financially well-off person related to the person who wronged him, Keeho owes him as well. Like, excuse me, but just because his mama is cooked doesn't mean he needs to jump in the pot too. But anyways, after this man chose to bring this past controversy back to light, Keeho, and to a lesser extent his younger brother Yi-chan of 82 Major, have experienced hate and threats against them, primarily sparked by the accuser's misrepresentation of Keeho's character and his intentions behind offering the accuser the money. Now, from what we know about K-pop companies and how they treat bullying and PR disasters, specifically relating to male artists, what do you think happened? Personally, I was on the edge of my seat, assuming the worst. Since this situation indirectly involves a literal crime that is scheduled to be taken up in a court of law, I was mentally preparing myself for FNC to put him on hiatus or even discuss removing him from the group. But to my surprise, since then, FNC has come out with a few statements shielding Keeho from the controversy and firmly stating that he has nothing to do with this and will help and cooperate if necessary. On top of that, he's also still promoting and attending schedules and is featured in the group's social media posts. Who else cheered? Who else just breathed a sigh of relief? Typically, K-pop agencies start to erase an artist when a PR issue like this arises, whether it was their fault or not, so seeing FNC just firmly protect their artist, even though it is the bare minimum, was really heartwarming. The official drip marketing for the new Natlanese characters Vereza and Dianson were recently released and normal people are cheering. However, in true terminally online fashion, a certain group of people found something to be mad about regarding both characters. Starting with Vereza, she is Genshin's first character made with a plus-sized model type. All characters we've had up to this point have not been skinny per se, but not necessarily very curvy either since the majority of the female characters are canonically teenagers. Surprisingly, the controversy surrounding her is not about her body but about her clothes. Many fans seem to find her design very jarring and inconsistent with Genshin's more medieval and Renaissance-oriented aesthetic, which is unbelievably funny when every single character from Natlan up until this point has had a colorful and outside-of-the-box design that intentionally broke the mold of familiarity the game had created up to this point. Not to mention that every character's outfit is indicative of the culture of the nation they hail from. Natlan is a bright, colorful, and rambunctious nation, so the fact that the attire of those who come from Natlan is also bright and colorful shouldn't be a surprise. Another very random issue some people had is that fact that Vereza's skirt is very short, which personally made me laugh. Genshin has an abundance of characters with less modest designs than this and yet all were okay with them. Nobody bats an eye when they get jump scared by Ka-Ching's booty cheeks whenever you try to fly with her, and you all knew how to act when Ito and Sino's designs were revealed. Why are you all suddenly pretending to care about modesty now? As for Dianson, many are frustrated that she is to be a 4-star instead of a limited 5-star. The issue? Many expected her to be a stronger, rarer, and more desirable character according to early, unverified leaks that stated she would be a limited 5-star character as opposed to a more attainable and underpowered 4-star. Now some claim Hoverse is demoting a black character to a lower rank compared to the other lighter-skinned characters, and even throwing around accusations of racism because God forbid a Chinese game developer with a predominantly East Asian player base treat a side character who happens to be black as a side character. But first of all, why were y'all taking unverified leaks as fact? We don't even know her kit, role, or weapon. All we know is her element, Electro, and that she's a cutie patootie. Second of all, the argument that she deserves special treatment because she was the character they used to tease Natlin makes no sense. Clay was the face of the game for the longest time, and yet like Ianzin, she had a minor role in the game's story. Not to mention that teaser came out several years ago and game development changes happen like clockwork. Let's not forget that Barbara was originally planned to be a 5-star but then became a free character that everyone gets, yet no one thought that was an example of Hoyoverse, a Chinese company, being racist to white people. This is just yet another example of the bizarre entitlement black consumers of East Asian media often have. Hoyoverse is treating Ianzin just like they would any other character. She's not exempt from changes and emotions just because she happens to represent a minority group. And mind you, if Hoyoverse was racist, why add playable black characters at all, let alone several? A Chinese company with a majority East Asian player base is not obligated to cater to 5 of its fans, especially not over such a minor, and frankly understandable decision. Not everything is about you, deal with it. On the 27th of February, Warner Bros. Released an official revised trailer for the Minecraft movie, and right off the bat, I'm excited, but not that excited. While the revised version of the trailer gives me a lot more hope that the final product will gag me and everyone else who survived the DanTDM and popular MMOs era of YouTube, I know it probably won't do that because nobody asked for it and it conceptually makes no sense. Like this is literally the last thing that ever needed to exist. For starters, I already don't like the direction they're trying to take the movie by cramming in almost 5 main characters. Minecraft originally has 2 canon main characters, Steve and Alex. What are these random kids and Aquaman doing here? As for the casting, I don't mind the casting of Jack Black as Steve as I feel like his juvenile humor and exaggerated acting style are perfectly tailored for an unserious kids movie like this, especially after he gagged all of us as Bowser in the Mario movie. As for literally everyone else, not a single one of them needs to be here. If I was in charge, it would have just been Jack Black as Steve, and then any talented redhead actress you all think could play Aloy in a live-action Horizon Zero Dawn as Alex. Nobody else. Everyone has pretty much come to the conclusion that this movie is gonna be another stinky waste of iconic IP, but who knows, it might reach live-action Sonic levels of slay. But more likely than not, it's probably going to be 2 hours of the most basic plot ever stretched out with a bunch of references, filler, and jokes only an 8-year-old could laugh at being executed by characters that everyone loves, kinda like the Mario movie except it won't do a good job being funny. I'll probably go see it with my mom though, just for science teehee. Here are my 2025 first quarter song rankings so far. Nothing is set in stone as March is still underway, however, I feel like a lot of these might keep their spots since despite the volume of big comebacks we'll get like Solgi, Les Sserafim, Treasure, Young Posse, and WACK Jeans, January was pretty dry, but things are starting to pick up so we'll see what K-pop has to offer in the coming months. Who else is excited? Kiiikiii is a brand new 5th-gen girl group under Starship Entertainment. While they are still technically in their pre-debut phase, the group has already released 2 songs just to tease us and build interest in them and their concept, and I have to say, I'm not interested. Let's start with the music. I Do Me is an upbeat generic pop track that while carrying a strong sense of youth and carefree energy, reeks of 2017 in a less than favorable way. It's repetitive, empty, and boring, and on top of that, is being paired with one of the most shallow concepts in girl group history, the carefree indie youth concept that has been plaguing girl groups ever since New Jeans invented school a little over 2 years ago. It's not bad, but it's so unoriginal, and despite so many girl groups taking on this aesthetic, the execution always remains surface level. It's lame, vapid, and lacking the depth and emotion that a concept like this needs to succeed. Maybe take New Jeans off the mood board and replace it with someone like Eve, Clairo, or even Biba Doobie when she has her act together. As for debut song, which is the most uninspired name I've ever heard in my life, we get to hear a messy, basic trap song that's obviously trying to play off the vibes of Young Posse and dupe the more trap and hip-hop focused sound that gave them success. These girls are just throwing every 5th gen trend at the wall and not a single thing is sticking. One thing I will commend them on is the creative direction we see used in the music video for debut song. It's a much more anti-design and maximalist-oriented Y2K style that incorporates many elements, themes, and motifs that are unique to Korean pop culture and internet culture, such as the 2000s variety show style typography, heavy use of PNGs and stickers, and even mimicking music show stages. I honestly don't even care that the music sounds like doo-doo from a butt. If they continue to execute this concept with a few tweaks, I might keep an eye on them. However, much like Hearts to Hearts, Odd Youth, and every other girl group that's being sharded out by Nuku companies every 2 seconds, it's probably just going to be the same TikTok-focused, recycled, watered-down, stale concept that Hybe shoved down our throats after finding it in the trash bin outside of the heavily monitored gates of boy groupville. Let's prepare for the worst and pray for the best. Sserafim has started rolling out their teaser materials for Hot, and it's been very hit and miss so far. Ignoring girl group Stan's obsession with misusing the term plagiarism, the concept photos are actually pretty good. The first set of photos is definitely my favorite, since I really feel like it does a good job of encapsulating the feeling of summer heat, which is clearly the vibe they're going for. However, I will say that the second photo set is the objectively better one, albeit conceptually unrelated, but I'm sure they'll tie the more ethereal and fairy-like nature back into the main concept somehow. The only issue I really have with these concept photos and the concept films at the moment is the crappy color grading. The colors are so dull and washed out to the point that they have an odd gray cast, and the color temperature is way too cool. Summer concepts like this typically have deep, warm and oversaturated color grading so you can see, and subsequently feel, the heat. But in these photos, all the orange and red tones are watered down to a vaguely yellow-brown tone, and everything just looks muddy and gloomy as opposed to the hot and dry vibe that's intended. As for the music, I'm not expecting much, especially not after Crazy. I expect that to remain as their magnum opus for a bit. Personally, I want Hot to channel Unforgiven in terms of structure and sonic elements like the old western vibe and sampling of the iconic theme from The Good, the Bad and the Ugly, but give us something different genre-wise. I don't want the same pop trap easy listening trend girl groups have been giving us on and off since late 3rd gen just to get rent paid while they cook up something good. I want to be blown away every time, but I've accepted that girl groups simply refuse to do that, and honestly I respect it. Like OK Queen, work smarter not harder, I guess.
Artist who can sing versus artist who can't sing.
I don't know what we've done to 돌아가긴 싫어.
I got my green ass on, trying to get egg, what's happening?